Welcome to LSC. It's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Derocke Croom, former Hampton High quarterback and also quarterback at HU. Glad to have you.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
I'm glad to get you in here. You grew up in Hampton.
Yes.
You played ball your whole life, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Was football you loved, or did you play other things?
Football, we played basketball, we played baseball, we played hopscotch, we played jump.
Competitive hopscotch?
We just played anything.
So what's some of the teams you played for? You up in Tide Mill area?
Yep, played in Tide Mill area. I started off on Settlers Landing Road. Played for the Tyler Tigers.
Tyler Tigers.
Yep, we practiced over there right behind Kmart, right over that way. Started there, and then we went to Eaton, played at Eaton, played under Coach Brown.
Right.
And then
also you played for an Eagles team. Was that at Langley?
Yep, the Langley Eagles.
Was your dad's Air Force?
Yep, my father was in the Air Force. And so when I finished playing with the Tyler Tigers, we started playing over at Langley. And then I played at Langley all the way until last year, I think was in the 7th grade. Right. That's when I went to Eaton.
Right. And then as an 8th grader at Eaton, you go over and play JVs over at Hampton High School.
End up intermediates was the last year that I played, and a lot of guys were going to go play juniors, and I didn't want to play juniors, so I was like, I wasn't going to play JV, so ended up trying out for the JV team and ended up making it.
Who was your coaches?
Coach Frank Johnson and Walter Brown.
Walter Brown, and everybody knows Walter Brown now. It's not just basketball, but he coached football.
He coached football during that time.
Right.
Yeah, he coached football.
So that was quite an experience. And then you walk over there as a 9th grader, and you run into a youngster by the name of Robert Banks.
To Notre Dame. First time I saw him, I looked up and I'm like, wow, this is 6'8". He was a man child. He was a man child, and I couldn't even hold the dummies. You know, the tackling dummies, Coach Mitchell and Coach Mann get mad at me because you're supposed to put a little force in it, but I'm way back in the goalpost. He come off of it, so I switched up. I started going out there with the dummies with the defensive back. I went over there and started checking the receivers. I couldn't do the linebacker thing
that's
anymore.
Good. That's quite an experience just to walk in and see that.
Just seeing him, and then that was you get a sense of that's what a Division I football player. You know, it's like Notre Dame was huge. I think he was the first one. I'm not sure if he was the first one in a long time to sign out of Hampton High School to Notre Dame, and then you know, just Notre Dame itself. You know, seeing him.
that conjures up the biggest football. Doesn't get any bigger than that.
Touchdown Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, so it was an experience.
Now, were you always a quarterback?
When I first started, I played running back.
Okay.
And then I kind of got too slow, but I still wanted the ball in my hand, you know, so I ended up started playing quarterback then. It wasn't too much transition. I just had to start learning how to throw. Could still run, you know, but just learning how to throw. Yeah.
Now, so who worked with you over at Hampton? Who was worked with the quarterback?
Coach Smith was the quarterback's coach.
Okay.
But the quarterbacks and the running backs, all the backs went together. But Coach Mann was the backs coach, and Coach Mitchell was the line coach, and then Coach Smith was the quarterback coach. So during that time, Hampton University had a quarterback that played at Hampton High that I used to want to be like Marco Stacy.
Right.
And so Marco Stacy would come over right before, summer practice starts, and I would work out with him, and he would show me how to throw. So I kind of learned how to throw by looking at Marco Stacy.
Because it's not the same thing as throwing a baseball.
No, it's not the same thing. It's the same mechanics. You know, you flip your wrist when you throw a baseball. I guess I did play pitcher for a little bit, but I got hit too much, so.
But you have to develop the touch and everything, because football is not just. You just don't throw it and hope a guy runs underneath it.
Just a little skill, a little finesse.
Right.
You know.
And how did you develop those skills?
Well, just practice. You know, back then, you know, you had camps, but they were just too expensive. So what I would do, I would just go. I had a football, and I would go to the field out at Macon, and I would just, you know, work on what we did at practice, 3-step drop, and I was just stop and I throw it, then I run down and go get it, and I throw it some more, and you know, just throwing.
Right. And then you go into the varsity as a ninth grader?
Actually a 10th grader.
10th grader, okay.
Tim Barnes was was a starting quarterback then, and so I sat behind him, and then Michael Bullock. So I would play what they call the proverbial meat squad.
Oh, you playing what the other team is going to be doing. Yeah.
So everyone that played back during that time, that's what they call it. They call it, now it's the scout team.
The scout team, yeah.
But
because I remember Kyle Zlowski talking. That's all he talked about was the meat squad.
It was the meat squad. So you got a lot of reps.
Yeah.
A whole lot didn't work. And if it did work, you had to run it again.
Well, because you're trying to emulate a system that you're not even used to.
Yeah, so but if it worked, you would have to do it again, so it wouldn't work. They were teeing off on you.
Right.
Yeah. But it was a good experience.
So, but then as 11th grader, you play, know, Bullock kind of.
Yep. Well, my first start was Mitchfield. Mike got hurt, and he wasn't because Mike was a two-way starter, great athlete. Two-way starter, so he got hurt. And so I guess we needed him to play defensive back that game, so I ended up getting a start at Mitchfield. Ended up winning the game, thank goodness.
Good.
Yeah. And
so that gave you your really first time at the varsity level.
Nervous. First time, when you blow out teams, you get a minute here and a minute there, but that was the first start.
There was no blowout when it's 0-0.
Yeah. So and then we just started. I started playing a little more then.
Right. You were just getting more experience.
Gaining more
did you
experience.
feel like your confidence level was growing too?
The confidence level was growing, and then the system that coach has, it just makes it so easy because you're not contingent upon running the ball. You're not contingent upon throwing. Everything works hand in hand.
Right.
Yeah.
So and you guys won a state championship as a junior?
We went to the state championship my 10th grade year.
Right.
We played T.C. Williams. My 10th grade year, we ended up losing that at Charlottesville. We lost that one. And then junior year, we won it. We played TC again.
Eric, that's right.
Yeah, we played TC again.
That's right.
In Fairfax, and we ended up winning that. And then my senior year.
Then your senior year, you are the man. You are the quarterback.
I'm
and now you got, we won it last year.
Yeah, so,
both sides on your back.
Everybody was on our back. And we ended up losing 2 games that year. And we had to win our last game to make it to the playoffs.
Do you remember who that was against?
We beat Bethel.
Yeah, usually that was the way it was set up.
We beat Bethel to go to the playoffs, and we just got on a run.
Right.
It was rough. We played against Green Run, which had 2 guys that end up, I think they end up playing the pros, Matt Darby and Keith Goganis.
Right, Goganis.
Yeah, they were linebackers, and that was at Green Run. That was that first one. So
you had to get by them.
Yeah.
And then who was your next? You remember who your next opponent?
I want to say, I think it was Norview. I'm not sure. And then the regionals, the state semis, we played John Marshall.
Right.
Yeah, out of Richmond.
Right.
Yep, out of Richmond. And then Salem High School for the state championship home.
Talk a little bit about that, because here it is, you won a state championship, but it's not the same thing as you being the quarterback.
Yeah, and the ones before, when you're spectating or when you're not playing as much, you still get a sense that's a team accomplishment. But when you're out there on the field, it's like, you have, everybody, pulling for you. You have to, you just have to uphold the standards of Hampton High. So we couldn't go there and lose.
Well, I had Dwight Vick in here, and he told me, he says, we won a lot of games just walking on the field.
Oh, yeah. That red and white.
Intimidation thing.
That crabbers, that brings a lot. When you see that crab, on your jerseys, and even that red and white, and then, you walk with a little swagger.
Well, and the mystique.
Yeah.
But which was interesting, because we'll talk about you coaching Allen Iverson, but when they played Hampton, he said Allen came over into our huddle.
Well, I was on that coaching staff.
You was on the coaching staff.
On Bethel side, So we had a little.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
That was different.
But talk about some of the guys that was on that team with you in the championship year.
We had Marvin Dickinson played fullback. We had Will Jeter, Will Jeter was an All-American that year.
Right.
We had Sherwood Jones, Keith Powell, Michael Alexander played receiver. You had Wesley Johnson, Sherwood Jones. We had just a whole lot of guys, and all the guys that during that time we still keep in touch. So you really had a whole Steve Mason, who owns a shop here in Hampton. Yeah, we just had a lot of guys on that team.
And then you graduate. And now you're recruited.
Oof.
Talk about the recruiting process.
The recruiting process was it's hectic, and it's new and it's fun because you have coaches that want you, and they're telling you things. And then when you go on the recruiting visits and the guys, come and talk to you. And since they're
trying to sell their school.
They're selling the school. So, you're like, wow, I want to come to the school. And then the next week you go somewhere and then, wow, I want to go to that school too. And then it was like, wow, I really want to come to this school. So it's a challenging, task, because then you get into, do I really want to be at this school? Is this really a good fit for me?
Right.
And my thing was, will I be able to play?
Right.
And the reason I chose Hampton was because it was home, not too far, and I wanted to play.
Right. Who was the coach over there?
At that time, it was Fred Freeman. Our offensive coordinator was Mel Rose.
Mel Rose, who is now the head coach.
And then, the special teams coach and linebacker coach over there was Coach Brown. Yeah.
Oh no, not Charlie Brown.
Yes, indeed. And I still every time I see him, I say, Coach, you should have put me back at punt return. But he always used to say I was too slow, which I was.
But you've started 4 years.
Yeah, I was a 4-year starter. End up going in my freshman year. After I signed, during the spring ball time, I would leave Hampton and I would go over to Hampton University while they were playing spring ball, and I would just watch. Just be up under the tree and watch. Just see what was going on.
Right.
And then that summer, end up going in there. But that summer, when we started camp, I was the 5th string quarterback. I was the 5th string quarterback. I was the bottom of the depth chart. They had 2 upperclassmen quarterbacks, and then they brought in 3 freshman quarterbacks. And 2 of those were ahead of me on the depth chart even before we started. So I was like, nah, I kind of took offense to that. Just
I'm better than that.
Took offense and end up, just going through summer practice. And
right.
First game of the season, we played University of District of Columbia, UDC, and ended up being the starter and started ever since.
They couldn't get you out of there.
Couldn't get me out of there.
Well, how was that system over there compared to what you did at Hampton? I mean, was there a lot of adjustments you had to make?
Oh, very much so, because at Hampton we ran a pro-I twins formation, where at Hampton University we went to a veer set.
Okay.
But we ran the option out of the I formation. It had a lot of different formations, just a learning curve in calling your own plays at the line. You had to do side adjustments. You had to call audibles, whereas Hampton High, you didn't have to do that. Coach said, we're running this play. That's the play we're going to run.
Right.
That's Coach Smith.
We can even let them know what we're going to beat them at their position. Yeah.
Whereas in college, a lot more film study, and then a lot more, again, adjustments on the line. Right.
Now, you're in the record books over there. You must have done pretty good.
I did okay. I was on a couple of, they keep the all-time passing and, quarterbacks. And I didn't score that much at Hampton High. So at HU, when I got a chance to score a touchdown, I would. So as far as all-time touchdowns, I'm up there. But, that was a long time ago.
All right. Now you graduate.
Yes.
You get your degree in health and recreation.
Health, physical education, and recreation.
You go to work for Hampton
Parks and Rec,
and end up coaching at Bethel. I mean, whoa!
Great story. Miguel and Comenius.
Right.
We were roommates, and he was coaching, and his father, Creighton and Comenius,
right,
Senior, was the head JV coach, and he asked me, he was like, I want you to come and work with my quarterbacks. I wasn't doing anything at the time. So he was the one that got me started coaching over at Bethel High School, JV.
Okay. Then you get a chance to coach Allen Iverson.
Great
and win a
experience.
state championship.
Great experience. He as a quarterback, talented. Very talented.
Well, I've never seen a better return man than Allen Iverson. He was great at quarterback.
Yeah, he was just talented.
Just a great athlete. And
great athlete.
he could go from the football field to the basketball court and never.
And that's what he did. He won the state championship on Saturday. He played, I want to say Monday or Tuesday, and scored 30 points. Scored 30 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, without picking up a basketball, you know,
without picking up a basketball. I was at the game, and Rutland is coming down the court with the ball, and next thing you know, he throws it up, and here comes Allen out of nowhere, grabs it, and dunks. I says, they haven't even been practicing together.
With the skinniest legs in the world.
And what? If he's 6 foot, he's stretching.
Yeah, that was a special time.
All right, talk about some of the guys. Cause we talked about Jonathan Dean was on that team.
Yeah, you had Kelly Rogers.
Kelly Rogers was he a receiver?
Yeah, he was a receiver.
Okay.
You had Barry. I forget Barry's last name, but Barry played defensive end. As a matter of fact, Oklahoma State wanted him coming out.
Van Hill was on the team.
Yep, he's coaching.
Van Hill over at HU.
Terrell. I forget Terrell's last name. He played cornerback and receiver for us. Chris Gaskels, he was on that team. Mike Simmons, he was on that team, real tall guy. Jackson, who played running back for us.
Right.
So those, and it was a great group of kids, great group of kids. But Coach Smith.
Did you feel funny?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, because Bethel was your nemesis when you were at Hampton High School.
That was the rival. And it took me a while to put on some green and gold, so I would always have a Hampton High T-shirt up under. Nobody knew, but I always had to have a Hampton High T-shirt. But
I talked to Bobby Blizzard. Bobby went over and coached the kick-a-town. I said, what was it like to put on that green jersey? He says, you can't believe it. It was almost rough. Like it was burning me.
It's rough. And every time during that year, Coach Mitchell would call me a traitor. He would call me a traitor. Derocke, you shouldn't be in that green and gold. He couldn't be in that green and gold.
But that had to be a great experience for you.
It was a great coaching experience. Being under Kozlowski. Well, coaching, playing under Coach Smith, who is by far one of the greatest, in this area and probably, in the country. And then going with Kozlowski, who also is one of the greatest coaches in this Peninsula District and in Virginia.
Their styles?
The styles are pretty much the same. They are disciplinarians. Right. They are very meticulous in, practice and getting things done, and they also are fair, but thing about, Hampton and Mike, they're just rivals.
Right, always have been.
Rivals. So it was different playing under Coach Smith and then coaching under Kozlowski, but I got the best of both worlds. Right,
and now you're working up at Williamsburg.
Yes.
In their recreation?
Yep, Parks and Recreation for the city of Williamsburg.
Okay, and but also when the Incomenius guys, they went to Gloucester. You went to Gloucester with them.
Yeah, we had a chance to go to Gloucester, and that experience just helped me tremendously as far as becoming a better coach.
Right.
Because we were out of Gloucester, and the athletes during that time, we didn't have great athletes. We had some, we didn't have great, so we had to rely on our skill and our teaching ability, and just trial and error. Didn't get everything right, but some of the things that went right, and then just going back to the drawing board. And Creighton was the head coach, Creighton Jr. They call him Doobie. He was the head coach. Miguel was the defensive coordinator, and we also had Troy Fullwood on our coaching
he's a
staff.
Former Bethel.
Yeah, he was on our staff during that time, and we had some other guys. So
that had to be a good experience.
Just learning the game of football through trial and error, and then teaching.
Right. Well, we're going to kind of wrap this thing up, but I want to talk to you about how athletics have helped you maintain relationships, because you talk about you still have relationships with the guys who won the state championship, but I'm talking about later on in life you still maintain those relationships.
I think through any competitive sports or anything through sports, you build relationships and you have a bond, because it's you guys working during the summer months, during the winter months, when you're talking about basketball, when you're talking about football, baseball, and any sports, and it's just camaraderie, and you build on, okay, if I'm not 100% this week, then my next guy can be a little more for me, and I'm a little more for them. So you're playing for each other, and then you build that to a common goal, which is to win.
Right.
And even if you don't win, you still have that bond with those players.
Like brothers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Derocke Croom. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Until next time.